Hey, so in this video, I'm gonna walk you through a business strategy that is so saucy that you do not see in most of today's day and age. But it is one of the best strategies I've ever heard in my entire career in business, and I still remember it from like first hearing about it like 5 6 years ago. And this was the exact process, or the kind of the big picture strategy that one of the agencies that I used to work with went from zero to, I want to say, 20 $25 million in sales, in total sales in 3 years. And the growth was insane. 3 4 years. And I was one of the few kind of key first hire there, not on the executive team, but I got to witness this in real time, and it was mind blowing. Okay, so this is particularly relevant if you are an agency and you sell services to like an industry, if you focus on a specific industry. This used to be called, by the CEO of this business, used to be called the 4 boxes of business. And I was like, man, if you can think in this level, the business is worth 10x more, the value. And this could have been probably like maybe like a 50 million, maybe $100 million business if they were able to execute all 4 of these boxes. They didn't quite get there, but I saw the path and I was like, man, that makes so much sense. So let me dive into it. So these are the 4 boxes. Again, the business strategy is called the 4 boxes. It was great, right? And one of the favorite thing I learned from this founder in this business is that they were not really big or fancy about the naming, but they're very effective at selling and strategic thinking. So let me give you an example. Let's say you sell Facebook ads for chiropractors, right? Most people, their entire business is just this one line where they try to go and sell, hey, I can get you patients to chiropractor. And this could be 0 to like $5 million a year in revenue. Maybe, and that if you're lucky, if you're really good, right? I know very few agencies, maybe not anything, that sell to chiropractors at the $5 million business, right? But that's the potential of it if you run like crazy operations and you're really good at what you do. What most people don't realize is the value of the business go exponentially higher, and you build a synergetic processes if you can connect these 4 boxes together. And that is why it is called the 4 boxes strategy. So what does that mean, right? I probably think, my guess is this probably came from like people like Jay Abraham, Dan Kennedy, like on a strategic level. But anyways, here's how you think about it. So yes, you're an agency, you sell services to chiropractors. That's your main business, right? But how do you compound and create more value, enterprise value for the business, is when you realize that the chiropractors have 2 other boxes that they connected with. Who are they? 1, chiropractor work with patients, right? And 2, there are other providers to chiropractors that are not agency services, but they're working directly with chiropractors, and they add value, and they basically take a bit of a share of the wallet off the chiropractors, right? So what are these? So perfect example I can give you, we used to work with, is laser devices companies. Okay, so if you look at chiropractors today, what are some of the, if you walk into a chiropractic office, what do you see? Those would be the providers of chiropractors, right? So laser devices, like I can name 20 things, right? Massage tables, right? All of the devices, right, that they use in their business, right? Then you have billing, right? Or they have HR, right? So people that work there. So potentially like staffing companies would be a provider to chiropractor, right? Software, okay? Software companies like what did it used to be called? like even like billing software, right? For chiropractors. EMR is a common term, electronic medical records, I think, software. Okay. Now, why is this important? Because me as an agency, let's say I work with 100 chiropractors, right? Who else want access to my list of chiropractic offices? These providers. So I can actually go to, as an agency, I can go to the providers here and say, hey, I have a list of people, of chiropractic offices who are all trying to grow, right? Because they're spending money on Facebook advertising for me. Do you want to market to them? Do you want to partner up, right? So for these people, actually here, I would sell Facebook services here, right? Here's Facebook ad. Wow, that is tiny. Again, stick with me. This is so ninja that most people are not even able to think this way. These people, I would sell chiro or sell access to chiro offices who are all trying to grow, right? Who are the most likely people to spend money on more services? The people are trying to grow. So how do you actually give access to this, right? You can do joint webinars where any one of these clients buy one of these services, you get a cut. Okay? And it works synergetically because I, as an agency, can go to chiropractor and say, hey, I'm not just going to try to get you more patients using Facebook ads. What if you have a laser device in your clinic that will actually improve and get you more money from each patient that we bring you, therefore improving the lifetime value of your patient that we bring if you have a laser services in your clinic who are all cash pay. And this is exactly the strategy we did. One of these laser companies help us get more. And also, the other thing too is you can say to this company, let's say, and say, hey, in order for you to access my chiropractic clients, right? Because this is a partnership, you're going to promote us to your list of chiropractors. So we send you clients and you send us clients, but it's beneficial. It's mutually beneficial. And we actually came up with a training on how chiropractors can add more cash services using laser devices. And guess what? The laser device is from the company that we partner with. We did like $100,000 in sales in like the first 6 months. It was a 7-figure partnership just on laser devices. That is how you multiply the effort, because you not only add more value to the chiropractors because they can actually get higher value from the patient that you bring to their Facebook ad, from your Facebook ads, but you also get access to the laser company resources. And if you structure this the right way, right, and you own the list, you have a lot more power. So like we have a growing list of chiropractors at this business, and the laser company, all of these companies will wanted access to that list, and they all had to pay, right? We would host events, we would do webinars, and they can sponsor webinars, events, and they all have to pay to get access to this list. And then it kind of feed on itself, right? So the more money that we generate from these partners, we reinvest into acquiring more chiropractors, and then on and on it goes. This two things, just these two, we actually never got to this part. These two things got the company from zero to almost from zero to $20 million in 3 years, just executing these two playbooks. Now, I left, obviously, but the grand goal was that as we grow this bucket of chiropractors around the nation, because we run Facebook ads to help them get patients, okay? And remember, these are local businesses, right? We also have been generating a list of patients or potential patients all around the country. So remember, there's only the number of patients was the number of chiropractic offices is probably 10 to 1 or 10 to 1,000, meaning one chiropractor would serve versus 1,000 potential patients. So as this list grows, and because we control the traffic and the Facebook ad and the lead gen, and we ran all of the marketing automation back end for chiropractors, this list became bigger and bigger. Okay? Now, each clinic in chiropractic can only serve a certain number of patients at a time, right? So let's say you're in Denver and we're running ads for chiropractor for one clinic in, let's say, Rhino, Denver, right? But because of how online advertising work, we were blanketing the 10, 20-mile radius of Rhino, but this one chiropractor in Rhino cannot serve all of them, right? What ended up happening and what should be happening is that we should be sending patients who are closest to the location of that chiropractic business to that location. Instead of, if this one patient is living like 20 miles away from this one clinic in Rhino, we shouldn't be sending them there. It's not efficient, right? That patient probably not going to do that anyways. So the ideal scenario was that the more that we grow these patient base, the more chiropractic clinics we could actually partner with. So let's say that in the 20-mile radius of Rhino in Denver, which is a neighborhood in Denver, there is 40,000 patients potentially. Or we have a list of 40,000 prospects, right? And I'm just throwing that number out there hyperbolically. Could be 3,000. But this one office in Rhino can only serve 1,000 at a time. What happened to the other 3,000? Right? We can go to the other clinics who are not competitive to that one in Rhino and say, hey, do you want new patients? We've already gotten them. Right? So now, because we own this list of patients, we can grow to more chiropractic clinics. Okay? Well, I don't mean that we own this list, but we have access to this list. Right? So this list grows bigger, and we grow more chiropractic who wants access to these patients. Right? And remember, this also grows as this grows. So we're able to access more providers, raise the prices to get access to these providers. Right? So the next step, which we didn't quite get there, was when we amass a certain number of chiropractic location. In this case, it was 300. We had a project called Project 300, where if we grow to 300 locations around the country, we would start national campaigns on lead gen for patients, meaning people who have back pain. We would advertise back pain campaigns all and blanket it all around the country to acquire leads, people who have back pain, shoulder pain, whatever. And then we would funnel them to 300 locations and then grow those locations. This was so ninja that I was like, man, if we get there, this would be $100 million company. Okay. Now we didn't quite get there. The problem was we had quite high churn, and I think this was one of the things that really held back the company. We had high churn on the chiropractors here because they couldn't afford our services. What I think we should have done is we should have lowered our price point to enter and improve the way that they keep their retention. They had a huge problem with retention. But if we were able to solve that problem, this would have grown to a national campaign where we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars per day and blanket the entire state, the entire United States on a chiropractor. So in other words, instead of becoming what is it called? A franchise, right? Like Planet Fitness. Our agency would be the central core in running basically at a franchise model without being a franchise for like 40% of chiropractic clinics around the country, who all as a collective group runs campaign for all of the states for a patient with back pain. Now, the next step, so I would say if we figured this out, from 20 million, we would have been $100 million business just by figuring this piece out. The next part, though, I think this will take it to $1 billion product business, is then as these patient lists grow, right? What can we do with them? They need chiropractic clinics services, right? But then they also need other products as well. So what does that mean? Products would be beds, right? Devices, sleep hacking devices, biofreeze devices, right? Healing devices, neck pillows. Think of retail products that everyday people buy and wear and use for their back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, right? This alone is multiple billion of dollars, right? Think of like Sleep 8, all of these expensive product, even like Aura rings, they're all health related. These patients are not just interested in back pain, they're interested in overall health. So we can potentially offer and make affiliate commissions, right? By selling beds, by selling products that help them with their pain naturally. I think you get the point. Nobody's thinking this way in most of businesses. I just happened to be in an agency where this was, again, I got to witness this in real life. It's still a lot of work, don't get me wrong. But man, this business could have been and should have been $1 billion business. Because at this point when we ran national campaign, this would have become a brand. And a brand is not even related to the agency service. The brand would have been something that's worth way more than just the revenue that is brought in by the agencies. And we would be the central core of it. Now, that's not the end of it, right? Think about this. With the chiropractors, not every patient here is going to need chiropractic services and just chiropractic services. Guess what? They also need massage therapy, right? PT services, right? Gyms, other type of therapies, even like surgeries, right? In the right places, for the right reasons, right? Medications, again, even there, right? There's a place for it. So these are all referrals that we could send to, and guess what? We can go to them and say, hey, we work with chiropractors, but they don't need chiropractic services. Do you need surgery or PT or massage therapies? And our chiropractor that work with us get exclusive partnerships with these places where they're going to send, this PT is going to send a business back to this chiro, and only the chiros in this platform and this ecosystem would have access to this. Okay? And it gets better. These people have their own patients, right? And they can send back to the chiropractors. Same thing over here. They have software needs. We can send them back here and vice versa. So this ultimately become a business flywheel that take a small agency that would max out at $3 million a year, probably, if they're lucky, if they're great operational people, to a $100 million, $1 billion valuation if you consider all of these things. Now, there's a lot of boxes, lots of operations to figure out. But man, that business, I got chills just talking about it now because of how quote unquote ninja this is. And the core central thing with this is two steps. Number one, understand how everything fits together and the value services and the value added here. And number two, the most important thing of all of this, the number one secret, and this is truly is the secret, is who owns the list. Okay? If you heard of this marketing term before, the most important business asset is the marketing, is the list, right? But it has much bigger implication than just that in the terms of marketing. So if we own the chiropractor list and the patient list, between these two, right, we own the vertical, because these are the two actual kind of like highways where all of the values are created, because we bring these two together, right? And then we can bring the providers and the products together. That's where it all starts. And this is the $1 billion value right here. Who owns the list? And the biggest value of them all is this list, the patients, right? This is the people in pain. If we own this list across America, right, we would have been $1 billion business. And if we could grow it. And this is why we didn't need VC funding to do it, because our services, right, this was the thing that funded it all. But this is the ultimate business move, which is you provide a service, right, that generate cash flow, and use that cash flow to grow as big of a list as possible with this. And then this becomes the brand, if you will. This become the value of the business, and take it to $1 billion. But let me caveat it with, one, it takes way more intelligence than I have right now to even do this. And two, it takes way more work than you think it does, right? There's a lot of boxes to be filled. You're not even an agency at this point. You're like freaking running 6 departments at once. But the genius move was this architecture of the business. So hopefully this is helpful. Let me know if you have any other ideas on here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your insights on this part. This is also brand new to me, relatively to me as a potential business owner on my own journey to my agency growth. So would love to hear from you, what you think about this, and talk to you soon.